this was the first business I've ever owned. So it's like, oh, this is going to be great. I wasn't afraid of the risk or anything like that.
Okay.
I thought, okay, we're going to get in there. We're just going to take Cheyenne by storm.
Yeah.
And we did, but then I realized, holy cow, that's a lot of work.
Let's talk about that moment.
Let me tell you.
Hey, welcome to Voices on the Wind. I am Toby Lyles and my esteemed son,
Maverick Lyles.
So happy to have you back on the podcast again. We have Steve Sears today. Now, Steve Sears is a local, faithful entrepreneur. He built Cheyenne Stitch, helped build actually, took over with his wife, Cheyenne Stitch, a long time running business, and really interesting to hear his thoughts after quite a few years on what makes a business successful and what he's learned as someone who wasn't a business person in the beginning, what he's learned in the process. So really interesting interview. There's so many snippets from this. It was hard to choose, really. He's just got a lot of good thoughts. And we'll probably talk about some of those on our social media. We'll probably post those if I get around to it, but I probably will, and likely chat about that on our newsletter. So if you haven't, we're still looking for newsletter names, by the way. So, hey, throw us a suggestion. If you have a suggestion for a newsletter like The Beast.
The Beast.
That's a great newsletter name.
Yeah, we should do that.
You're like, I don't think so. The coolest newsletter. Lots of words on one page. We'll call it that.
Yeah.
The really fun stories on a newsletter. If you haven't checked it out, hard to name it. So go check it out at votw.substack.com. Read a few, and then I throw in a name for us. So just comment on any of our socials, and we'll pick the best name.
Yeah.
It'll definitely be user named, assuming you throw in a name for us. So I can't wait for that. And
please like and subscribe. And we're still going. And still going season 4. Yeah, we really have your guys' support is really helpful. And so yeah, if you guys could do that. And thanks for listening.
Yeah. Here we go. Steve Sears.
You know what I always tell people who are thinking about business? What business do I start? I always say, look for a need. Look around your community and find a need. What does this community need? And that's where you go. Because if they have a need, if you could fill it, you're good. It was not as scary for me as it was for my wife. Yeah. And first, main reason was I was not a good fit as a UPS man. Okay. I mean, it's a great job, pays well, but my brain did not go with being a UPS man because I loved the customers. Our customers, every time I made a delivery, they were the best. But there's things about that corporate mentality that just didn't mesh with my brain. And the more I stayed there, the more I knew I had to get out. Because it's just that I went to the same houses every day, delivered the same boxes every day to the same business every day. And, it's like there's people come to the door every day and I'd hand them an Amazon box and they'd still be in their robe and slippers. And I'm thinking, is this what you really do? I knew that it's just, no, I can't do this. I had to be somewhere more challenging.
Okay.
And then that corporate mentality, a lot of times they tell you what to do. You can't steer away from it or veer away. And I'm just not good at taking directions like that.
Okay, so you launched from UPS to Cheyenne Stitch,
yes.
Boosters. Did you guys purchase that from your family?
Yes.
Okay.
We bought, it was just Cheyenne Stitch at the time.
Okay.
We bought Cheyenne Stitch from my wife's parents, who started it back in 1989. Okay. And we bought it from them in 2008. They were ready to retire. And, so it was just kind of the natural transition. And I stepped out of radio. I still did it part-time. But, I stepped out of UPS full-time, and then I got back into, I started with them, and we took over in 2008, and it's just been us ever since. Okay,
so it was Cheyenne Stitch when you purchased it. Yep. Just tell us, what did Cheyenne Stitch do?
Cheyenne Stitch, it started out as in the mall, and it just did custom embroidery and screen printing. Actually, just custom embroidery at the time. Names on jackets, logos, and stuff like that. And then it started to expand into bigger machines. So we end up moving over to Ridge Road where it had a bigger space for machines. Then they got out of what retail they were in, they got out of, and then they just did basically commercial embroidery. And then they stepped into screen printing. They kind of went hand in hand. So they did custom embroidery and screen printing. And then when we took over, we started seeing the problem with the word custom, because custom that equates time and that drives the price up. So we made the move from custom embroidery to commercial embroidery.
Okay.
We actually do a lot more businesses now.
So before
Contractors.
as an individual, I'd walk in, I would like my own name on my jacket. Can you do that for me?
Yes, that's basically what we did.
Okay.
But now, and we still will do that now. We'll definitely do that as long as we have time and the ability to do it. But we also deal a lot more with bigger corporations, Holly, Frontier, Sinclair, Lowe's Distribution Center, places like that. We have the bigger jobs, 500 pieces and stuff like that. It's not uncommon to have 200 or 300 jackets back there on machines.
Yeah.
And we went from having 1 or 2 single heads. Now we have, I think, like 37 embroidery heads back there.
Wow.
We got multiple multi-head machines. So it's a little bit bigger than just putting your name on your jacket, which we can still do. It's just in a business, you have to understand that if I've got 75 ball caps I'm doing for somebody, it's hard for me to stop that 75 caps to put your name on a jacket.
Yeah.
I'd love to be able to do that. I can't always do that.
Like you said, it just drives the price up.
Yeah, and that's when I respect the people with side hustles. The people doing it out of their garage. There's a place for those people. I respect them because there's things that they can do that I really don't have time to do. And any way you go about it, the customer still gets to keep their money locally. Even if it's not with me, it's still in our community.
That's right.
Which is great. And I can't do it. I could take the job, but it may be, 4 weeks before I can do it. And that's going to just frustrate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I can squeeze it in, I will. If they can go somewhere else, that's great too. I've referred customers to other people, I really don't see them as competition. I see them partially as business partners to a certain degree.
Well, it's important to
Because if
view
I can't
business that
do
way.
it,
Yeah.
might as well send it to them.
That's right.
So-
Yeah. Yeah. And then we move away from this competitive mindset to a collaborative.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a big shift from doing individuals to corporations. Was that natural and easy? Did you guys have the accounts already, or did you have to go hustle those?
It was happening already, whether we decided to or not. It was actually already happening. We were getting the accounts and all that, and it's like we knew that we had to make a change. If we wanted to service those accounts properly, we needed to make that change and make those accounts our priority. And I always hate saying that, because then somebody comes in who needs their name on a jacket, they feel like they're not important, because they are important. There's a side that we have to work with. I would love to do it, but again, it might take 4 weeks. When this person's over here in their garage, they might be able to do it tomorrow. I'd much rather them go to that person in their garage than get frustrated with me. I've always found that the honesty and all that keeps the respect going. This was the first business I've ever owned. So it's like, oh, this is going to be great. I wasn't afraid of the risk or anything like that.
Okay.
I thought, okay, we're going to get in there. We're just going to take Cheyenne by storm.
Yeah.
And we did, but then I realized, holy cow, that's a lot of work. Let's
talk about that moment.
Let me tell you, my philosophy, I remember telling my wife this. I said, all we got to do is offer a good product, a good service at a fair price. That was really, it's true to a certain degree, but it was pretty naive on my part, because there's a lot of business things. You start learning about margins and, profit and loss and stuff like that.
A good price, but then you have to pay for your building.
What I thought was a good price. Well, now I got to pay for all this over here. So what seemed like a good price is now a little bit more expensive, So that all goes into it that I wasn't really aware of, but it didn't take me long to learn at all.
Yeah.
So,
and you said your wife's pretty sharp.
oh
on
yeah,
that
she's a
stuff.
great business person. She's phenomenal. Absolutely.
Can we take a moment to talk about just her input and her place in this?
Well, let me tell you this. She's one of those people who are just so organized. She could tell you what jobs are in here, how many pieces are involved, what logo's going on it, what colors are going to be with that logo, what location, whether it's a crest logo, if it's on the sleeve, it's on the back. She knows all that. And she could just, once it gets in her head, she knows it. Wow. And she'll be dealing with 50 different jobs in the back about that. Frontier Days comes around. She's got, 20 different committees we're working with. She knows everything about them, what colors are going, their logos are, and
what a brilliant mind.
Yeah, he's like, okay, well, does the logo on the right or the left? Most of the time they go on the left, but this committee, they want them on the right because they got a badge over here. Those are the little variables that I drop that she doesn't. It's amazing how she works.
So it's not like in a detailed list. It's just in her mind.
It's in her mind, and she does. I mean, she'll write down.
I'm sure she writes it down.
Good instructions, but she just knows those things. There's customers come in here that have one logo, but like 7 or 8, 10 different variations of that logo. She knows every one of them. So when that same customer comes in and says, I need our logo on this shirt, I said, great, thanks, have a nice day. I take it back to Lisa, and Lisa goes, which one? Where do they want it? I don't know. That's the variables that I don't deal with very well that she is great at.
Incredible.
It's amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. She's awesome.
Yeah. And then you're able to provide, you said custom, you don't do the custom, but you're able to know that's still custom in my mind.
Yeah.
To know exactly what almost more than custom, to know what the customer wants even before they want it.
It is. And she's good at that. She can come out here and talk about different colors and stuff like that to where I don't see colors like she does. But again, she's been doing it a lot longer than me, but she knows what colors will sit on what fabrics better. She knows all the different types of fabric, all the different blends, what's going to react to what logo is going to react to this kind of fabric a little bit better. Wow. Because if the logo's too dense and too many stitches, it's not going to wear as well. It's going to kind of wrinkle up and stuff. So
now, was there anything between Cheyenne Stitch? So you took over Cheyenne Stitch. You said you're a little naive, but you got up to speed.
Yep.
And but you still got that great vision, and then you've got that transition to more commercial, and then somewhere between that and there's boosters.
Okay.
Was there anything before we get to boosters that was just
what had happened with boosters when it came around? When Cheyenne Stitch started, they had a retail store in the mall called Impressions in Leather. So they were already in retail. We got out of retail when we left the mall. The space was small. There just wasn't a huge need for it. And we were really just focused on embroidery and screen printing. When Lisa and I took over, after a couple of years, we started realizing that there's really no place in town to buy East High School or Post 6 or Wyco shirts, Central High, South.
How did you find that out?
Just by observing,
So you didn't? Were people coming in saying, "Do you have East High School shirts?"
No, nobody came in. So I started looking around, and at that time, we would see every once in a while a couple in Walmart or with the big box stores, but they were very generic, generic, and.
So in the big box stores are noticing local swag.
I'd see some local swag in there, and I'd realize, if they're doing it, that means they obviously have somebody who wants it. Yes. We were already doing the swag, but we were doing it for, the football teams need this many T-shirts, or the speech and debate team wants these shirts. So I knew that crowd was out there. All the schools had school stores, but they were not open all the time, So it really was it didn't take too much of a genius to figure out that there's a market out there for the school apparel. And just like University of Wyoming, it's really no different. People want University of Wyoming stuff if they're big fans of Wyoming. High school kids want their high school stuff. The parents want all their stuff. So we knew that if we could come out with a whole line of school apparel for all the schools and some of the club sports, that audience was there. This way, they don't have to, at the beginning of the year, fill out this little form and send it off to a website, and then 2 months later get it back. Yeah. They can stop in here and they could buy something on their way to the game. Yeah. or we're on the way to school, whatever. Of course, we don't open quite that early, but, you know, that made it easier. And it just, honestly, just made sense. It didn't take long to actually start putting the puzzle pieces together and to see to where that was another revenue stream that we could capitalize on.
So, did you have a storefront at that point?
No.
Okay.
Matter of fact, we moved from Ridge Road over to Nation Way just because we had to get out of that building. So
because the machines were too big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just grew out of it. So we went over to Nation Way, which is about 5,000 square feet, and definitely plenty of room, and a small little showroom. So we started offering some retail over there under the name of Team 307. And we started, and it was picking up speed, but it was just not enough. And again, at that point, I had already tried to buy this building.
Yeah.
And I knew that this building was going to be great. And once we bought it and did the renovations and able to get in here, we knew we had so much more space for retail.
Because it was a retail.
It was,
before.
yeah, they could do retail in here. We have all the production in the back and the screen printing we do next door. So we have plenty of space for retail. So
did you make that decision because retail was on the line, or did you make the decision and it was like, and if retail works, great?
No, it was really twofold. Okay. I knew there was a need for the retail.
Okay.
I knew the schools.
So you were super confident.
I was super confident in that, and it definitely paid off. I knew the club sports like Post 6, Wyco, Capitals, Sting, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I knew that they would support it, and they have. They've been so awesome for us. But now, on the other side of that, I knew that the location of this building was premier. Okay. Being on the corner of Nation Way and Lincoln Way, so much traffic's here all the time. So I knew that we could honestly really take control of our future by at least owning the property. Mm-hmm. And if everything else failed, we have the property. So we can, at any time, we can, sell boosters in Cheyenne Stitch and lease out the property, So so it's twofold. I knew it would work good for our retail, plenty of room for our machines. We could still expand more. We still got 4,000 square foot upstairs we don't even touch. But I also knew that this was a great place to secure for our future and our retirement.
Yeah. So you're thinking long term when you start thinking
absolutely.
Real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So you had some good thoughts. And then when you went to retail, did you, I'm not asking real numbers, but I'm just asking, how did that do for you?
Oh, well, it's been a snowball.
Because the guess versus, right? When we think it's going to work versus when we launch it.
I'm always so positive, and it never works out as easy as in my head, it works out a lot faster, but it's been a slow process, but it's been good. Not that there's not issues that we still deal with, I could use 5 more employees right now, so because of the employee shortage, it's hard to keep up to date with all the apparel. There's items I need to have out here on the showroom, on the floor, hanging on the racks, but I just don't have the time to always get it out. I don't have the time to get it printed, or Lisa doesn't have the time to get it embroidered. So there are still problems, but it's worked out good. We've had boosters open now for about 8 years, and every year's gotten better. And it's a great business. It's just the retail alone is a great business.
Before we move on to anything else, anything that you want to just, on that story of you guys going from UPS to where you are today, you and your wife, I mean, you guys are going to have to figure out marriage with the business is a whole different animal.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you want to talk about that.
That's a whole nother hour story. That's a whole nother podcast there.
Yeah.
It's not easy, working with your spouse. Everybody says, you just make sure you can work together. Then when you go home, you're husband and wife. Well, it doesn't always work that easy. It would be nice if it was. Lisa's better at it than me, but a lot of times I get at work, I still see her as my wife, to where I need to see her as just a colleague. That's hard. That's difficult to do. So when you go home, I still see her as my wife. And I'm still mad at her for what she did. When I was supposed to be seeing her as a colleague. She's much better at, she can get mad at me or frustrated with me here, but when we go home, she's much better at letting it go. I'm not always as good as she is at that. But it is tough. And I definitely don't know if I'd ever advise people. If anybody's working together, I always tell them, make sure you have clean, defined boundaries. You both have jobs to do. Make sure you don't get in her lane and try to do her job. She can't get in my lane, try to do my job. But we didn't do that. That's one of the things I've learned since. So
boundaries.
Yeah, boundaries. Boundaries.
Stay in your lane.
Absolutely.
Don't do her job.
No.
Yeah.
I can't.
I can't. That's smart. Yeah. Anything else that's been challenging you guys had to overcome, or just interesting pieces in the story that you want to talk about?
I really don't know. It's all, when you're working with family, there's going to be obstacles. When you're working with, there's obstacles in everything. I don't care. Even if you don't own your own business, there's an obstacle. If you're a teacher, there's obstacles. So it's no different than any other profession. I think we've done a pretty good job with our businesses, and we've continued to expand. I think we've planned pretty good with owning the real estate, because we own this building, the building next to us. We've got some of that leased out, so we've done a pretty good job there. Now, I will be the first to say, though, will be somebody watching this and that's going to say, well, you did a cruddy job with mine, and I will be the first to say, I'm not going to throw any stones, because I dropped the ball too. With my ADHD, one piece of information can drop, and I mess up everybody. And that could be 2, 3, 4 weeks delay on getting their job to them. And I have to take full responsibility. It is my fault. And I never shy away from it. Everybody has bad days. I'm no different. That's why I kind of get frustrated with the reviews online and stuff like that. People say, oh, they just are terrible. Well, you went there one time. Everybody has bad days. It's not easy doing what we do. And we have bad days just like everybody else. And I don't like having bad days, and I never, ever want to disappoint a customer, but I know I do. Hopefully they understand that. It's frustrating when I do have a bad day periodically, and that's the first thing they do is get on social media and start telling everybody how bad I am and how terrible my company is. Well, that day we probably were, but it's not every day. I do everything I can to keep that from happening. But everybody, I don't care if you're a waitress, short order cook, I don't care if you're an accountant or whatever you're doing, you have bad days. I don't like to judge people on one day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially small business.
It's hard
to expect it from that. Yeah. Go a few times, get to know somebody, be human.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about this one? You've UPS radio, and then you did this entrepreneurship thing, business ownership. You're a different person today, I'm assuming, from who you were.
Much different.
How has this owning a business changed you?
It's changed me a lot. In my knowledge of business and the back office of business, the numbers and stuff like that, I understand that. But the biggest change in me has been more of me as a person and how I deal with other people, because it's really, I see people in a different light. I see kids coming in here buying apparel, and I can tell they're buying this apparel because they're lacking a little attention. They want this neat shirt because people are going to notice this shirt. And I've learned that kids they're just awesome. They have so much in front of them, but it's hard for them to see it. So how it's changed me is I become more of an empathetic person, more of a compassionate person. Now I really just, I'd be fine with just driving around and talking to high school kids and uplifting them and going to a place that's just wiped off the map by a tornado and just pulling a Traeger out of my trailer and just start cooking a meal for them because they've lost everything. And I just want to give them a little bit of hope. So that part of me has changed a lot over the years. And I don't know if it's the business that's changed me or if it's just maturity. I don't know. But I see a lot of people come in, and I see a lot of times we're like a bartender. We'll start talking to them, and they'll start telling us about why they're upset. And which is good, because then I could talk to them about it. And not just a clerk, ringing them up at Walmart or something, you know? So that's what's changed me. Anymore now I can walk out of here tomorrow and be fine. I don't need a lot of money. You know, that's the one thing that has changed about me is I see other people and money is such a huge focus. And honestly, it's just not with me. I look at like the big time millionaires and billionaires. I'm thinking, heck, I don't need that. You know, I just need a certain amount of money and I'm fine, you know? Give me a motor home and a Traeger grill in the back and get me some hamburgers and brats and I'll be good. I'll find somebody to feed, you know? Yeah. I'll find somebody to uplift. That's really all I need. Yeah. You know, I don't need a second house. I don't need a boat. You know, well, yeah, I need a boat, but
okay, yeah, maybe
maybe the boat I can use.
The yacht, though.
Yeah,
okay.
It doesn't have to be that big. Hopefully that answers your question.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's actually
because the way I've changed really has nothing to do with business. So
well, that is. Yeah, I mean that's the point. Is that it's often not about business.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's about
relationships.
But that's what. Yeah, doing business well is about trust. It's about relationships, and it's a challenge. And it brings something else.
That's one of the things that my mother-in-law and my wife are so good at, and is anybody. And I like to think I'm pretty good at it. When they come through our front door, they're doing business with a friend, and they've always been that way. And I've always told them, I said, that's what really makes you popular. That's what makes your business successful. Is the products are good. Yeah, the service is good. But when they walk in, they know your name, you know their name, you know their kids. They went to college together. So you can always say, hey, how's Jeff doing? You know, he's up at Northwestern, isn't he? Or whatever. You know, you already know that. People love to do business with somebody they feel like is a friend. And that's what we've kind of created. So, and I think that's a big part of our success.
Yeah, you've got quite a few businesses. We didn't talk about all of them.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because you have a handful.
I do.
But I just love that. I just love that your business mind sees a problem, as you talked about right at the beginning. You see a problem.
Find a need.
Find a need.
Find a need. If you can look around your community and see a need, and you can try to fill that need, you're golden. You've got a successful business, and your community is filling a need. Yeah. One of these days I'll build a rec center, you watch. Because I know Cheyenne wants one, and I've worked on it many times. So again, that'll be another podcast. Yeah. So I'm just waiting for the right real estate. This is the right pieces to fall in place.
I really respect Steve Sears and just how his business model, the way he thinks through life, just and all of his creative ideas. I mean, we weren't even really able to touch a lot on him, but he has such good ideas. And super cool, and really done well with the business, and weighing how good he knows where his strengths are, where his weaknesses are, and I really respect him. That's it. Really cool what he's doing.
Yeah, really fun to talk to. Great radio voice. He's got a voice for radio.
Yeah.
Fun to talk to. You know, the fact that they pivoted in the middle of their business, took the data that was coming in and just try to figure out who was the best person to serve. And of course, he's just following up with just a bunch of creative ideas. He's going for it. So I think that is the spirit of entrepreneurship. So thank you, Steve. Thank you so much, Steve, for being on the podcast and for your deep wisdom. And I really enjoyed that. So if you haven't checked out our newsletter, or like, subscribe, share, please do that. Please do that. Please do that. Please do that and share it with your friends and your community. So, and keep on building stuff. Until then, my friends, happy sailing.